All right, we are coming up on 8 o'clock. So, let's settle in, get comfortable, and try to remember where we left off. Welcome back. This is our second night of reading from Goethe's Faust. We've been fighting some rather out of my hands, but probably totally my own fault, technical difficulties for the last week or so. The 48-hour stream of the holiday classics was a little bit more than Xfinity and Comcast had bargained for. And so had to wait out the end of the billing cycle and get an update to my plan to give me unlimited data. Somehow on the bargain I ended up saving money on the plan, so I'll count that as a win. But I'm waiting for the monkey's paw to curl on this one. But with that little bit of optimism out of the way, let's look back just for a little bit on where we left off. In our first reading, we were introduced to a number of interesting characters. When by really a number, I mean there were really about 4 named characters that we came up with. There is the eponymous Faust, the scholar full of pride and knowing that he is smarter than the average man, and rather wanting for intellectual stimulation, coming from a family that has been good to the community. But he is not quite having that. And we've seen Mephistopheles, the demon, the devil that has made a bit of a wager, a game with God and with his angels, to see whether or not he is going to be able to corrupt Faust. Because as it stands, God counts Faust among his. But for how long? Because we've already seen Faust has taken the bargain, taken his own little bet, his own wager here, with his own soul in the making, in the giving. So Mephistopheles will be his servant in this life. And this life will continue until Faust finds contentment, a perfect day that cannot be topped, no reason to carry on. And then the tables will turn, and he will be Mephistopheles' servant forever and on. So, I'm sure we can see already that this is probably not going to go all too well for poor Faust. And, once again, the pride cometh before the fall. But will he be able to weasel his little way out of this? Already he seems to be manipulated without his full knowledge. And Mephistopheles has already started to twist and turn Faust's friends and colleagues to his own means, his own ends. We saw he was redirecting one of Faust's students to different ends, different directions for their potential career. I'm sure we'll see much more of that as we go on. So, let's go ahead and jump back in where we left off from Scene 5 of Faust, Part 1. This one introduces several new characters, and as a reminder, this is a play that is intended to be read privately rather than played out on stage. But it does have, in the manner of any script, who is speaking and some stage directions. When it is characters that we know and are familiar with, and I can have a distinct voice for them, I'll omit the names. But when there's new characters coming in, and when there are whether they might be minor characters that don't really fit having a distinct voice. I'll keep bringing the names up, just to keep things a good flow and easy to comprehend as we're going along. So, jumping back in now with Scene 5. Auerbach's cellar in Leipzig. The carousal of jolly companions. Frosch. Is no one laughing? No one drinking? I'll teach you how to grin, I'm thinking. Today, you're like wet straw, so tame, and usually you're all aflame. And Brander, now that's your fault. From you we nothing see, no beastliness and no stupidity. And then Frosch pours a glass of wine over Brander's head. Oh, they're having fun. There's both together. And Brander, twice a swine. You wanted them, I've given you mine. Now Siebel, turn out two portals out the door. With open throats sing chorus, drink and roar, up holla ho! And Altmaier, woe's me, the fearful bellow. Bring cotton quick, he split my ears, that fellow. Siebel, when the vault echoes to the song, the first perceives the bass is deep and strong. And Frosch, well said, and out with him that takes the least offence. Ah, ta-ra-la-la-da. Altmaier, ah, ta-ra-la-la-da. And Frosch, the throats are tuned, commence. And they commence to sing, the dear old holy Roman realm, how does it hold together? I have no idea what tune that was supposed to be. I don't think anyone is supposed to know. And back to Brander, a nasty song. Ha! A political song. A most offensive song. Thank God each morning, therefore, that you have not the Roman realm to care for. At least, I hold it so much gain for me, that I nor Chancellor nor Kaiser be. Yet, also, we must have a ruling head, I hope, and so we'll choose ourselves a pope. You know, the quality that can decide the choice and elevate the man. And Frosch now sings, soar up, Dame Nightingale, 10,000 times my sweetheart hail. Siebel, no, greet my sweetheart not, I tell you, I resent it. And Frosch, my sweetheart greet and kiss, I dare you to prevent it. Draw the latch, the darkness makes, draw the latch, the love awakes. Shut the latch, the morning breaks. And Siebel, yes, sing away, sing on, and praise and brag of her. I'll wait my proper time for laughter. Me by the nose she led, and now she'll lead you after. Her paramour should be an ugly gnome, where 4 roads cross in wanton play to meet her. An old he-goat from Blocksburg coming home, should his good knight in lustful gallop bleat her. A fellow made of genuine flesh and blood is for the wench a deal too good. Greet her, not I, unless when meeting, to smash her windows be a greeting. Brander pounding on the table. Attention! Hearken now to me. Confess, sirs, I know how to live. Enamoured persons here have we, and I, as suits their quality, must something fresh for their advantage give. Take heed, 'tis of the latest cut my strain, and all strike in at each refrain. Here he sings, there was a rat in the cellar nest, whom fat and butter made smoother. He had a paunch beneath his vest, like that of Dr. Luther. The cook laid poison cunningly, and then as sore oppressed was he, as if he had love in his bosom. And then the chorus shouting, as if he had love in his bosom. And Brander back. He ran about, his thirst in puddles laving. He gnawed and scratched the house throughout, but nothing cured his raving. He whirled and jumped with torment mad, and soon enough the poor beast had, as if he had love in his bosom. And chorus, as if he had love in his bosom. And driven at last in open day, he ran into the kitchen, fell on the hearth and squirming lay, in the last convulsion twitching. Then laughed the murderess in her glee. Ha ha! He's at my last gasp, said she. As if he had love in his bosom. As if he had love in his bosom! And then Siebel. Oh, the dull fools enjoy the matter. To me it is a proper art, poison for such poor rats to scatter. And then Brander, perhaps you'll warmly take their part. And Altmaier, the bald pate pot-belly I have noted, misfortune tames him by degrees. For in the rat my poison bloated, his own most natural form he sees. Now we turn to Faust and Mephistopheles. Before all else I bring thee hither, where boon companions meet together, to let thee see how smooth life runs away. Here, for the folk each day's a holiday. With little wit and ease to suit them, they whirl in narrow circling trails, like kittens playing with their tails. And if no headache persecute them, so long the host may credit give, they merrily and carelessly live. Back to Brander. The fact is easy to unravel. The air's so odd. They've just returned from travel. A single hour they've not been here. And then Frost. You fairly hit the truth. Leipzig to me is dear. Paris in miniature. How it refines its people. Zeeble. Who are the strangers? Should you guess? Frost. Leave me alone. I'll set them thirsty drinking, and then, as one a child's tooth draws with cleverness, I'll worm their secret out, I'm thinking. They're of a noble house, that's very clear. Haughty and discontented they appear. Then Brenter, they're mountebanks upon revel. And Altmaier, perhaps. And Frost, look out, I'll smoke them now. And then Mephistopheles to Faust. Not if he had them by the neck, I vow, would e'er these people scent the devil. And Faust, fair greeting, gentlemen. And Siebel, our thanks we give the same. And then they murmur to themselves, inspecting Mephistopheles from the side. In one foot is the fellow lame. Is it permitted that we share your leisure? In place of cheering drink, which one seeks vainly here, your company shall give us pleasure. Altmaier, a most fastidious person you appear. And Frosch, no doubt 'twas late when you from Ripoche started, and supping here with Hans occasioned your delay. We passed without a call today. At our last interview before we parted, much of his cousins did he speak, entreating that we should give to each his kindly greeting. And then he bows, Mephistopheles bows to Frosch, and Altmaier, as an aside, you have it now, he understands. And Zeeble, a knave sharp set, and Frosch, just wait a while, I'll have him yet. If I am right, we heard the sound of well-trained voices singing chorus, and truly, song must here rebound superbly from the arches o'er us. Frosch, are you perhaps a virtuoso? Oh, no, my wish is great. My power is only so-so. And Altmaier, give us a song, if you desire a number. And Zeeble, so that it be a brand new strain. We've just retraced our way from Spain, the lovely land of wine and song and slumber. There was a king once reigning who had a big black flea. Frosh, here, a flea! Do you rightly take the jest? I call a flea a tidy guest. There was a king once reigning who had a big black flea, and loved him past explaining, as his own son were he. He called the his man of stitches. The tailor came straight away. Here, measure the lad for breeches, and measure his coat, I say. And Brander, but mind, allow the tailor no caprices, and join upon him, as his head is dear, to mind exactly measure, sew and shear, so that the breeches have no creases. In silk and velvet gleaming, he now was wholly dressed. In a coat with ribbons streaming, a cross upon his breast. He had the first of stations, a minister's star and name, and also all his relations great lords at court became. And the lords and ladies of honour were plagued, awake and in bed. The queen, she got them upon her, the maids were bitten and bled, and they did not dare to brush them, or scratch them day or night. We crack them and we crush them at once whene'er they bite. And the chorus now shouting, we crack them and we crush them at once whene'er they bite. And Frost, bravo, bravo, that was fine. And Siebel, every flea may it so befall. And Brander, point your fingers and nip them all. Altmaier, hurrah for freedom, hurrah for wine. I fain would drink with you my glass to freedom clinking, if 'twere a better wine that here I see you drinking. And Siebel, don't let us hear that speech again. Did I not fear the landlord might complain, I'd treat these worthy guests with pleasure, to see some from out our cellar's treasure. Siebel, just treat and let the landlord me arraign. And Frosch, and if the wine be good, our praises shall be ample, but do not give too very small a sample, for if its quality I decide, with a good mouthful I must be supplied. And Altmaier to the side, they're from the Rhine, I guessed as much before. Bring me a gimlet here. And Brander, what shall therewith be done? You have not the casks already at the door. And Altmaier, yonder within the landlord's box of tools, there's one. Mephistopheles now takes the gimlet, and to Frosch, now, give me of your taste some intimation. Frosch, how do you mean? Have you so many kinds? The choice is free. Make up your minds. And Altmaier to Frosch, you lick your chops from sheer anticipation. Frosch, good. If I have the choice, so let the wine be Rhenish. Our fatherland can best the sparkling cup replenish. Then Mephistopheles, boring a hole in the edge of the table at the place where Frosch sits. Get me a little wax to make the stoppers quick. And Altmaier, aha! I perceive a gentler's trick. And Mephistopheles now to Brander, and you. Champagne shall be my wine, and let it sparkle, fresh and fine. And Mephistopheles bores in the meantime he bores through the table, and in the meantime one has made the wax stoppers and plugged the holes with them. And now Brander, what's foreign one can't always keep quite clear of, for good things oft are not so near. A German can't endure the French to see or hear of, yet drinks their wines with hearty cheer. Now, and Siebel, as Mephistopheles is approaching his seat, for me, I grant, a sour wine is out of place. Fill up my glass with sweetest, will you? Mephistopheles is boring through the table there. Tokay shall flow at once to fill you. And Altmaier, no, look me, sirs, straight in the face. I see you have your fun at our expense. Oh, no, with gentlemen of such pretense, that were to venture fair indeed. Speak out, and make your choice with speed. With what a vintage can I serve you? With any, only satisfy our need. And then, after the holes have been bored and plugged, Mephistopheles, with singular gestures, grapes the vine stem bears, horns the he-goat wears. The grapes are juicy, though vines are wood. The wooden table gives wine as good. Into the depths of nature peer. Only believe there's a miracle here. Now, draw the stoppers and fill your drink. And then all of them, as they draw out the stoppers, and the wine which has been desired flows into the glass of each. Oh, beautiful fountain that flows at will! Ah, but have a care that you nothing spill. And then everyone drinks repeatedly. And they all sing, as 500 hogs we feel, so cannibalic jolly. See now, the race is happy, it is free. Faust, to leave them is my inclination. Take notice first, their bestiality will make a brilliant demonstration. Then Siebel drinks carelessly, the wine spills upon the earth and turns to flame. Help! Fire! Help! Hellfire sent! Then Mephistopheles charms away the flame. Be quiet, friend the elements. And then to the revellers, a bit of purgatory 'twas for this time merely. And Siebel, what mean you? Wait! You'll pay for dearly. You'll know us to your detriment. Frosh, don't try that game a second time upon us. Altmaier, I think we'd better send him packing quietly. He's evil. What, sir? You dare to make so free and play your hocus-pocus on us? Be still, old wine-tub. Siebel, broomstick, you! You face it out impertinent and heady. Just wait, a shower of blows is ready. And then Altmaier draws a stopper out of the table, and fire flies in his face. I burn! I burn! Siebel, 'tis magic. Strike! The name is outlawed. Cut him as you like. They draw their knives and rush upon Mephistopheles, and he, with solemn gestures, false word and form of air, change place and sense and snare, be here and there. Then they stand, amazed, and look at each other. Altmaier, where am I? What a lovely land! Frosch, vines? Can I trust my eyes? And Siebel, and purple grapes at hand. And Brander, here, over this green arbor bending. See what a vine, what grapes depending. He takes Siebel by the nose, and the others do the same reciprocally, and raise their knives. And Mephistopheles, as above, with solemn gestures. Loose, arrow from their eyes the band, and how the devil jests, be now enlightened. Then he disappears with Faust, and the revelers start, and shock and separate. And Siebel, what happened? How? Was that your nose I tightened? And yours, that I still have in hand? It was a blow that went through every limb. Give me a chair, I sink, my senses swim. But what happened? Tell me now. Where is he? If I catch the scoundrel hiding, he shall not leave alive, I vow. I saw him with these eyes upon a wine cask riding out of the cellar door just now. Still in my feet the fright is like lead is waiting. Altmaier turns to the table. Why, if the fountain of wine should still be playing. Siebel, 'twas all deceit, and lying, and false design. And yet, it seemed as I were drinking wine. With the grapes, how was it, I pray? Shall one believe no miracles? Just say. Got a picture here, presumably at the end of the scene. So I don't think we'll see these characters again, but so it was a little hard to give them their own distinctions. But so it was just a chance for Mephistopheles to show off a little, to pop in and weave a little bit of his own magic and show Faust what he's really capable of. Here we are. Yeah, this kind of reinforces my idea that the pictures in this are not terribly accurate. It's all interpretations and such. So there's not really too much to worry about these. It gives a little bit of ambiance and not a lot more. And actually, I think in this case it is a preface to the next scene rather than what we just saw. And yeah, what's the point of being a demon and having these powers if you're not able to properly, showing off for the mortals and give them a little bit of a scare from time to time, or just have a little fun. So he's making wine come out of the table, and if they spill any, oh well, it might just turn into hellfire. So careful with that. And then all through, they have a little bit of back and forth with themselves. So all this was sort of Mephistopheles reinforcing that Faust is so much better than the common man. He's above the riffraff, obviously. So let's continue with Scene 6. The Witch's Kitchen. Upon a low hearth stands a great cauldron, under which a fire is burning. Various figures appear in the vapors, which rise from the cauldron. An ape sits beside it, skims it, and watches it, lest it boil it over. The he-ape, with the young ones, sits near and warms himself. Ceiling and walls are covered with the most fantastic witch implements. And here we have Faust and Mephistopheles talk to each other. These crazy signs of witchcraft propel me. I shall recover, dost thou tell me. Through this insane chaotic play, from an old hag shall I demand assistance, and will her foul mess take away full 30 years from my existence? Woe's me, canst thou not better find? Another baffled hope must be lamented. Here's nature then, and has a noble mind, not any potent balsam yet invented. Once more, my friend, thou talkest sensibly. There is, to make thee young, a simpler mode and apter. But in another book 'tis writ for thee, and it is a most eccentric chapter. Yet will I know it. Good. The method is revealed, without or gold or magic or physician. Betake thyself to yonder field. There hoe and dig is thy condition. Restrain thyself, thy sense and will, within a narrow sphere to flourish. With unmixed food thy body nourish. Live with the ox as ox, and think it not a theft, that thou manurest the acre with which thou reapest. That, trust me, is the best mode left, whereby for 80 years thy youth thou keepest. I am not used to that. I cannot stoop to try it, to take the spade in hand and ply it. The narrow being suits me not at all. Then to thine aid the witch must call. Wherefore the hag and her alone? Canst thou thyself not brew the potion? That were a charming sport, I own. I'd build 1,000 bridges meanwhile, I've a notion. Not art and science serve alone. Patience must in the work be shown. Long is the calm brain active in creation. Time only strengthens the fine fermentation, and all belonging thereunto is rare and strange, howe'er you take it. The devil taught the thing, 'tis true, and yet the devil cannot make it. And here he perceives the animals. See, what a delicate race they be. That is the maid, the man is he. And then to the animals. It seems the mistress has gone away. And the animals here, carousing today, off and about, by the chimney out. What time takes she for dissipating? While we to warm our paws are waiting. And then Mephistopheles now turns to Faust. Thou findest the tender creatures absurder than I ever yet did see. Why, just such talk as this for me is that which has the most attractive features. He turns now to the animals. But tell me now, ye cursed puppets, why do ye stir the porridge so? We're cooking watery soup for beggars. Then a great public you can show. Then the he-ape now comes up and fawns on Mephistopheles. Oh, cast thou the dice, make me rich in a trice, let me win in good season, things are badly controlled. And had I but gold, so had I my reason. How would the ape be sure of his luck enhances? Could he but try the lottery's chances? And then in the meantime the young apes have been playing with a large ball that they now roll forward. The world's the ball, doth rise and fall, and roll incessant, like glass doth ring, a hollow thing. How soon will 'twill spring, and drop quiescent? Here bright it gleams, here brighter it seems. I live at present, dear son, I say, keep thou away, thy doom is spoken, 'tis made of clay, and will be broken. What means this eve? Wert thou the thief? I'd know him and shame him. The he-ape runs to the she-ape and lets her look through it. Look through the sieve. Know'st thou the thief, and darest not name him? Mephistopheles approaches the fire. "And what's this pot?" The apes, "The fool knows it not. He knows not the pot. He knows not the kettle." Impertinent beast. "Take the brush here, at least, and sit down on the settle." The he-ape invites Mephistopheles to sit down. Faust, all through this, has been standing before a mirror, now walking toward it and retreating from it. "What do I see? What heavenly form revealed goes through the glass from magic's fair dominions? Oh, lend me, love, the swiftest of thy pinions, and bear me to her beauteous field. If I leave this spot with fond designing, if I attempt to venture near, dim as through gathering mists her charms appear, a woman's form, in beauty shining. Can woman then so lovely be? And must I find her body there reclining, of all the heavens the brightest epitome? Can earth with such a thing be mated? Why, surely, if a god first plagues himself 6 days, then self-contented Bravo says, must something clever be created. This time thine eyes be satiate. I'll yet detect thy sweetheart and ensnare her, and blessed is he who has the lucky fate, some say his bridegroom home to bear her. Faust gazes contentedly in the mirror, and Mephistopheles, stretching himself out on the settle and playing with the brush, continues to speak. So sit I, like a king upon his throne. I hold the scepter here, and lack the crown alone. And the animals all, who up to this time had been making all kinds of fantastic movements together, bring a crown to Mephistopheles with great noise. Oh, be thou so good, with sweat and with blood, the crown to belime. They handle the crown awkwardly and break it into 2 pieces, which then they spring around. "'Tis done, let it be, we speak and we see, we hear and we rhyme." And Faust, standing by the mirror, "Woe's me, I fear to lose my wits." Mephistopheles points to the animals. "My own head now is really nigh to sinking." The animals, "If lucky our hits and everything fits, 'tis thoughts and we're thinking." And Faust now, still pointing to the animals. "My bosom burns with that sweet vision. Let us, with speed, away from here." Oh, that was Faust, sorry. So Faust was now still at the mirror. "My bosom burns with that sweet vision. Let us, with speed, away from here." And Mephistopheles is still. "One must, at least, make this admission. They're poets, genuine and sincere." And the cauldron, which the she-ape has up to this time been neglecting his watch, begins to boil over, and there ensues a great flame which blazes out the chimney. And the witch comes careening through the flame with terrible cries. Ah, the damned beast, the cursed sow, can leave the cattle and singe the vow, accursed fair. She sees now Faust and Mephistopheles. "What is that here? Who are you here? What want you thus? Who sneaks to us the fire pain, burn bone and brain?" She plunges the skimming ladle into the cauldron and scatters flames toward Faust and Mephistopheles and the animals. The animals whimper. Mephistopheles reverses the brush he'd been holding in his hand, and striding among the jars and glasses. In two, there lies the brew. There lies the glass. The joke will pass, as time, foul ass, to the singing of thy crew. As the witch starts back, full of wrath and horror. "Ha! Know'st thou me, abomination thou? Canst thou, at last, thy lord and master, what hinders me from smiting thou? Thee and thy monkey sprites with fell disaster. Hast for the scarlet coat no reverence? Dost recognize no more the tall cock's feather? Have I concealed this countenance? Must tell my name, old face of leather? Oh, pardon, sir, the rough salute, yet I perceive no cloven foot, and both your ravens, where are they now? This time I'll let thee scrape the debt. For since we two together met, 'tis verily full many a day now, culture, which smooth the whole world, licks also unto the devil sticks. The days of that old northern phantom now are over. Where canst thou horns and tails and claws discover? And as regards the foot, which I can't spare in truth, 'twould only make the people shun me, where therefore I've worn, like many a spindly youth, false calves these many years upon me. And the witch is dancing now. Reason and sense forsake my brain, since I behold Squire Satan here again. Woman, from such a name refrain. Why so? What has it done to thee? It's long been written in the book of fable, yet therefore no whit better men we see. The evil one has left the evil ones a stable. Sir Baron, call me thou. Then is the matter good. A cavalier am I, like others in my bearing. Thou hast no doubt about my noble blood. See, here's the coat of arms that I am wearing. Here Mephistopheles makes an indecent gesture. The witch laughs immoderately. That's just your way, I know. A rogue you are, and you were always so. Mephistopheles now turns to Faust. My friend, take heed, I pray. To manage witches, this is just the way. Wherein, sirs, can I be of use? Give us a goblet of the well-known juice. But I must beg you, of the oldest brewage, the years a double strength produce. With all my heart now, here's a bottle, wherefrom sometimes I wet my throttle, which also not the slightest stinks, and willingly a glass I'll fill him. And then she whispers, Yet, if this man without due preparation drinks, as well thou know'st, within an hour 'twill kill him. He is a friend of mine, with whom it will agree, and he deserves thy kitchen's best potation. Come, draw thy circle, speak thine adjuration, and fill thy goblet full and free. And the witch with fantastic gestures draws a circle and places mysterious articles therein. Meanwhile the glasses begin to ring, the cauldron to sound and make a musical accompaniment. Finally, she brings a great book and stations in the circle. The apes, who are obliged to serve as reading desk and to hold the torches. She then beckons Faust to approach. Faust says to Mephistopheles, Now, what shall come of this? The creature's antic, the crazy stuff, the gestures frantic, all the repulsive cheats I view are known to me, and hated too. Oh, nonsense. That's a thing for laughter. Don't be so terribly severe. She juggles as you doctor now, that, after, the beverage may work the proper cheer. As he persuades Faust to step into the circle, and the witch, she begins to declaim with much emphasis from the book, See, thus it's done. Make 10 of one, and 2 let be. Make even 3, and rich thou it be. Canst o'er the 4 from 5 and 6, the witch's tricks. Make 7 and 8, 'tis finished straight. And 9 is 1, and 10 is none. This is the witch's once one's done. She talks like one who raves in fever. Thou'lt hear much more before we leave her. 'Tis all the same, the book I can repeat. Such time I've squandered o'er the history. A contradiction, thus complete, is always for the wise, no less than fools, a mystery. The whole art is old and new, for verily all ages have been taught the matter. By 3 and 1 and 1 and 3, error instead of truth to scatter, they prate and teach, and no one interferes. All from the fellowship of fools are shrinking. Man usually believes, if only words he hears, that also with them goes material for thinking. And the witch continues on, The lofty skill of science still from men deeply hidden. Who takes no thought, to him is 'tis brought, 'tis given, unsought, unbidden. What nonsense she declaims before us! My head is nigh to split, I fear. It seems to me as if I hear 100,000 fools in chorus. Oh, Sibyl, excellent, enough of adjuration. But hither, bring us thy potation, and quickly fill the beaker to the brim. This drink will bring my friend no injuries. He is a man of manifold degrees, and many draughts are known to him. And the witch, with many ceremonies, pours the drink into a cup. As Faust sets it to his lip, a light flame arises. Down with it quickly, drain it off, 'twill warm thy heart with new desire. Art with the devil hand and glove, and wilt thou be afraid of fire? The witch breaks the circle, and Faust steps forth. And now, away! Thou darest not rest. And much good may the liquor do thee. And Mephistopheles now turns to the witch. Thy wish on Walpurgis night expressed, what boon I have, shall then be given unto thee. Here is a song which, if you sometimes sing, you'll find it of peculiar operation. And Mephistopheles now turns to Faust. Come, walk at once. Our rapid occupation must start the needful perspiration, and through thy frame the liquor's potence fling. The noble indolence I'll teach thee then to treasure, and soon thou'lt be aware, with keenest thrills of pleasure, how Cupid stirs and leaps on light and restless wing. One rapid glance within the mirror give me. How beautiful that woman form! No, no, paragon of all, believe me, thou shalt soon see, alive and warm. And then he turns aside. Find this drink thy blood compelling, each woman beautiful as Helen. A couple more images for the theme more than anything. All right. So that is the end of the sixth scene. So, the Faust and Mephistopheles had gone to the witch to ensure that Faust is properly sorted out and taken care of. Can't let him stay old. No, no, no. If he's going to live forever, he might as well be young while he does it, with a few added benefits. The potion he'd drunk will make him fall rather easily for feminine charms. It seems he's going to see just about anybody as being worth going to war for. And so we see, even with Faust, Mephistopheles is working a little behind the scenes here. Dude, for real. Like, I'm happy with where I'm at right now in life. To be young and dumb and uncontrolled? No, that's alright. I'll happily be middle-aged. That is a comfortable place to be. A few aches, but nothing too bad. That's fine. That's fine with me. Alright. This next scene is a short one, so we'll see. We'll get through it and see what we've got left. So, the seventh scene. In the street, we have Faust, and Margaret is passing by. Oh yeah, no. Teenager, hell no. Would not roll back that far. That is for certain. Ease away some of the aches and pains, sure. Go through being actually young? No, miss me with that nonsense. All right. So, in the street, Faust and Margaret is passing by. Fair lady, let it not offend you, that arm and escort I would lend you. I'm neither lady nor fair, and home I can go without your care. She releases herself and exits. By heaven, the girl is wondrous fair, of all I've seen beyond compare. So sweetly virtuous and pure, and yet a little pert, be sure. The lip so red, the cheeks clear dawn. I'll not forget, while the world rolls on, how she cast down her timid eyes. Deep in my heart imprinted lies, how short and sharp of speech was she. Why, it was a real ecstasy. We've got a picture here. This one is a little bit more on theme. Sort of. I do like having these pictures, and I want to get in the habit of keeping up with these, but these, in general, are much less relevant and fitting compared to some we had, like when we were doing the Christmas readings. They do set the tone, but I really should just work up a window capture. For some reason, OBS is not picking up my capture of my reader, so that's some troubleshooting to do behind the scenes. But for now, here we see Faust as he's walking down the streets and sees Margaret, and she's having none of it. Now Mephistopheles enters. Here, of that girl I'd have possession. Which, then? The one who just went by. She, there. She's coming from confession, of every sin absolved, for I, behind her chair, was listening nigh. So innocent is she, indeed, that, to confess, she had no need. I have no power o'er souls so green. And yet, she's older than 14. Oh, now, you're talking like Jack Drake, who every flower for himself would take, and fancies there are no favours more, nor honours save for him in store. Yet, always, doesn't the thing succeed? Most worthy pedagogue, take heed. Let not a word of moral law be spoken. I claim, I tell thee all my right, and if that image of delight rest not within mine arms tonight, at midnight is our compact broken. But think the chances of the case. I need at least a fortnight's space to find an opportune occasion. Had I but 7 hours for all, I should not on the devil call, but win her by my own persuasion. You almost like a Frenchman prate, yet pray don't take it as annoyance. Why, all at once exhaust the joyance. Your bliss is by no means so great, as if you'd use to get control all sorts of tender rigmarole, and knead and shape her to your thought, as in Italian tales 'tis taught. Without that I have appetite, but now leave jesting out of sight. I tell you, once for all that speed, with this fair girl will not succeed. By storm she cannot be captured be. We must make use of strategy. Get me something the angel keeps, lead me thither where she sleeps, get me a kerchief from her breast, a garter that her knee is pressed, that you may see how much I'd fain further and satisfy your pain. We will no longer lose a minute. I'll find her room today and take you in it. And shall I possess her? No. Unto a neighbour she must go, and meanwhile thou alone mayest glow, with every hope of future pleasure, breathing her atmosphere in fullest measure. Can we go thither? 'Tis too early yet. A gift for her I bid thee get. And Faust exits. Presents at once. That's good. He's certain to get at her. Full many a pleasant place I know, and treasures buried long ago. I must, perforce, look up the matter. And then Faust exits as well. We got one picture to close out the scene here. This is presumably Margaret. We'll see. But that is the end of that scene. The next is also pretty short, so let's go ahead and get through one more scene, and we'll see how things shake up. But yeah, so Faust is already starting to trip himself up, to give in to the hedonism that's been tempted and offered so freely. First woman he meets on the street, he decides must be his. And with a little bit of leaning, he's pressured Mephistopheles to try and make good on his promises. But apparently, at least according to Mephistopheles, she's an innocent young girl, not to be tampered with by the likes of him, but he'll see what he can do. He's always one to please. All right. Scene 8. Evening. In a small, neatly kept chamber. And Margaret, plaiting and binding up the braids of her hair. I'd something give, could I but say, who was that gentleman today? Surely a gallant man was he, and of a noble family. And much could I in his face behold, and he wouldn't else have been so bold. And then she exits, and Mephistopheles and Faust enter. Come in, but gently follow me. And then there's a moment of silence. And Faust, leave me alone, I beg of thee. Mephistopheles is prying about. Not every girl keeps things so neat. Faust looks around the room. Oh, welcome twilight soft and sweet, that breathes throughout this hallowed shrine. Sweet pain of love, bind thou with fetters fleet the heart that on the dew of hope must pine. How all around a sense impresses of quiet, order, and content. This poverty, what bounty blesses! What bliss within this narrow den is pent! He throws himself into a leathern armchair near the bed. Receive me, thou that in thine open arms departed joy and pain wert wont to gather. How oft the children with their ruddy charms hung here around this throne where sat the father. Perchance, my love, amid this childish band, grateful for gifts the holy Christmas gave her, here meekly kissed the grandsire's withered hand. I feel, O maid, thy very soul of order and content around me whisper, which leads thee with its motherly control. The cloth upon thy board bids smoothly thee unroll. The sand beneath thy feet makes whiter, crisper. O dearest hand, to thee 'tis given to change this hut into a lower heaven. And here, he lifts one of the bed curtains. What sweetest thrill is in my blood! Here could I spend whole hours delaying. Here, nature shaped as if in sportive playing, the angel blossomed from the bud. Here lay the child with life's warm essence, the tender bosoms filled and fair, and here was wrought through holier, purer presence, the form diviner beings wear. And I, what drew me here with power? How deeply am I moved this hour! What seek I? Why, so full my heart and sore, miserable Faust, I know thee now no more. Is there a magic vapor here? I came with lust of instant pleasure, and lie dissolved in dreams of love's sweet leisure. Are we the sport of every changeful atmosphere? And if this moment came she into me, how would I for the fault atonement render? Oh, small the giant lout would be, prone at her feet, relaxed and tender. Be quick, I see her there, returning. Go, go, I never will retreat. Here is a casket, not on meat, which elsewhere I have just been earning. Here, set it in the press with haste. I swear 'twill turn her head to spy it. Some baubles I therein had placed, that you might win another by it. True child is child, and play is play. I know not, should I do it? Ask you, pray. Yourself, perhaps, would keep the bubble, that I suggest 'twere fair and just to spare the lovely day your lust, and spare to me the noble trouble. You are not miserly, I trust. I rub my hands in expectation tender. He places the casket in the press and locks it again. Now, quick away, the sweet maiden yon to betray, so that by wish and will you bend her, and you look as though to the lecture hall you were forced to go, as if stood before you, grey and loath, physics and metaphysics both. But away. And they exit, and Margaret with a lamp comes in. It is so close, so sultry here. She turns to open the window, and yet 'tis not so warm outside. I feel, I know not why, such fear. Would mother came, where can she abide? My body's chill and shuddering. I'm a silly, fearsome thing. She begins to sing while undressing. There was a king in Thule, was faithful till the grave, to whom his mistress dying gave a golden goblet gave. Naught that was to him more precious, he drained it at every bout. His eyes with tears ran over, and oft as he drank thereout. When came his time of dying, the towns in his land he told, naught else to his heir denying, except the goblet of gold. He sat at the royal banquet with his knights of high degree, in the lofty hall of his fathers, in the castle by the sea. There stood the old carouser, and drank the last life glow, and hurled the hallowed goblet into the tide below. He saw it plunging and filling, and sinking deep in the sea. Then fell his eyelids forever, and never more drank he. And then she opens the press in order to change her clothes, and perceives the casket of jewels. How comes that lovely casket here to me? I locked the press most certainly. 'Tis truly wonderful. What can within it be? Perhaps 'twas brought by someone as a pawn, and mother gave a loan thereon. And here there hangs a key to fit. I have a mind to open it. What is that? God in heaven, whence came such things? Never beheld I aught so fair. Rich ornaments, such as noble dame on highest holidays might wear. How would the pearl chain suit my hair? Who may all this splendor own? And here she adorns herself with the jewelry, and looks before the mirror. Were but the earrings mine alone. One has at another air. What helps one's beauty, youthful blood? One may possess them, well and good, but none the more do others care. They praise us, half in pity sure. To gold still tends, on gold depends. All, alas, we poor. We've got two images now, but they are on opposite pages, so we've got a bit of a moment here. Yeah, let me see what we can do. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do a capture because it just decided it doesn't like it. So, I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. Actually, you know what? I wonder if we might do it quick and dirty here. I'm going to try to add a window capture of the snipping tool. I wonder if old snippy friend is going to do right by us. I'm not seeing it. Let's try them. No, it does not. Does not like that. Okay. Let's get rid of that. I'm going to need to play with it in my OBS later. But for now, we'll just do this as we go. We've got one, presumably Margaret, playing with the jewels here. Quick reminder that this is art. It is definitely art. So don't get too uppity here. This one will only be up for a second though. So this is Margaret as she's looking at the jewels that they found. And ooh. We've got some artistic spice going on. And then we'll shift to the second one that was there. This one is a little less spicy. So this is presumably Margaret envisioning the where the cask of jewels came from and the noble ladies who would wear it. And through the last couple pictures we've seen, Margaret is not quite so comely as Faust is getting on with. At least that's my interpretation here. And she's also basically a child. She's a teenager, I think Mephistopheles had said. So Faust is kind of going all in on this fall from grace bit. He's not even pretending. So, alright, we're at about the hour mark. So, let's go ahead and take a short break. We'll go ahead and top up our drinks, stretch our legs, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. We'll have a bit of a reflection and talk on what we've seen so far before we jump back in. Because it is looking a little like Faust is going all in on this. So, alright, be back in just a few minutes. All right, we are back. So I could see if this one was made, or sorry to retrace that. So the movie that was based on a comic book, I could see someone like Gaiman doing a comic book in a Faustian theme and style with a lot of that classically inspired art style. It would fit very well with like something like a Sandman or a Hellblazer sort of styling. I could see it. I could see it. I would not be surprised at all. Also, I didn't know there was a 2000-ish adaptation of this. I'll need to check that out because this is another of those stories that you kind of know the general arc of the story, but how often you actually see it and like really experience it is pretty rare and uncommon. Oh, it's bad, is it? That could be all the more reason to try it out. There's hate watching is an entirely valid reason to watch something. But you're right, there were a lot of very suspect movies that were coming out in the early 2000s. It was an interesting era of cinema. Kind of like the 80s, had a bunch of how did this get made? Sort of questions. So, just a quick little retrospect of what we've seen so far. Last time, we were introduced to Faust and Mephistopheles. And Faust is sort of played off as, prideful, but not a bad guy, just sort of better than everyone sort of deal. And he's fallen mighty quickly here. He took the bargain, took that little bit, first touch of temptation, and since then has not let up at all. Between being transfixed in the mirror, to going all in with the witch there, to now lusting after a teenager pretty openly. This is all a little overwhelming, to be honest. But we're only a little bit more than halfway through. I imagine Faust has so much further yet to fall. This is a tragedy, after all, you must remember. I'm not expecting any happy endings. I'm not expecting good things to happen to really very many of the characters at all. Except maybe Mephistopheles. He wins in the end. So, let's continue now, as we go through these scenes and chapters, and find how things continue. The downfall that Faust experiences, the bargain and the bet that Mephistopheles is just sitting back and... Mephistopheles is very much the depiction of let him cook. Let him cook. He's not going to get in the way of Faust screwing things up for himself. Not at all. He wants him to live it up. Get that full hedonistic lifestyle so that he's going to have that perfect day. He's going to make it happen. The best and worst of wingmen right here. Alright. Scene 9. On the promenade. Faust is walking thoughtfully up and down, and Mephistopheles beside him turns and says, "By all love ever rejected, by hellfire hot and unsparing, I wish I knew something worse, that I might use it for swearing." Well, that's actually kind of I kind of like that. a devil or a demon himself is saying, you know what? I don't have a swear word strong enough. Sorry. That's a fun mental image, honestly. Alright, then back to Faust. What ails thee? What is't gripes thee, elf? A face like thine beheld I never. I would myself unto the devil deliver, if I were not a devil myself. Thy head is out of order, sadly. It much becomes thee to be raving madly. Just think, the pocket of a priest should get the trinkets left for Margaret. The mother saw them, and instanter, a secret dread began to haunt her. Keen scent has she for tainted air, she snuffs within her book of prayer, and smells each article to see if sacred or profane it be. So here she guessed from every gem that not much blessing came with them. My child, she said, ill-gotten good ensnares the soul, consumes the blood. Before the Mother of God we'll lay it. With heavenly manna she'll repay it. But Margaret thought with sour grimace, a gift horse is not out of place, and truly godless cannot be the one who brought such things to me. A parson came, by the mother bidden, he saw at once where the game was hidden, and viewed it with a favour stealthy. He spake, that is the proper view, he who overcometh winneth too. The holy church has a stomach healthy, eaten many a land as forfeit, and yet never yet complained of surfeit. The church alone, beyond all question, has for ill-gotten goods the right digestion. A general practice is the same, which Jew and king may also claim. Then bagged the spangles, chains and rings, as if but toadstools were the things, and thanked no less and thanked no more than if a sack of nuts he bore. Promised them fullest heavenly pay, and deeply edified were they. And Margaret sits unrestful still, and knows not what she should or will. Thinks on the jewels day and night, but more on him who gave her such delight. The darling's sorrow gives me pain. Get thou a set for her again. The first was not a great display. Oh yes, the gentleman finds it all child's play. Fix and arrange it to my will, and on her neighbour try thy skill. Don't be a devil stiff as paste, but get fresh jewels to her taste. Yes, gracious sir, in all obedience. And Faust exits. Such an enamoured fool in air would blow, sun, moon, or the starry legions, to give his sweetheart a diverting show. And then Mephistopheles exits after. We have another picture. This one, not really spicy, but just mind yourself. A reminder that art, many of these old literature pieces, are built through a different lens, meant for a mature audience. So, presumably it's Mephistopheles standing there over the things, and there's, I think that is Margaret and her mother going over the jewels that were given. I'm gonna go ahead and just hide that one, because it's just not really feeling that. Alright. And scene 10. At the neighbor's house. Margaret to herself. Or Martha to herself. That is, I think, the neighbor. Yeah. God forgive my husband, yet he hasn't done his duty by me. Off in the world he went straight away.
left me lie in the straw where I lay, and truly I did not defret him. God knows I loved and can't forget him.
And here she weeps.
Perhaps he's even dead. Oh, woe! And I a certificate to show.
And Margaret enters.
Margaret, what happened here? Dame Martha, I scarce can stand. My knees are trembling. I find a box the first resembling within my press, of ebony, and things all splendid to behold, and richer far than were the old. You mustn't tell it to your mother. 'Twould go to the priest, as did the other. Ah, look and see. Just look and see.
Martha adorns her.
Oh, what a blessed luck for thee! Ah, but in the streets I dare not bear them, nor in the church be seen to wear them. Yeah, thou canst often see this way wander, and secretly the jewels don. Walk up and down an hour, beyond the mirror yonder. We'll have our private joy thereon. And then a chance will come, a holiday, when, piece by piece, can one the things abroad display. A chain at first, then other ornament. Thy mother will not see, and stories we'll invent. Whoever could have brought me things so precious? That something's wrong. I feel suspicious.
There's a knock.
Good heaven! My mother can that have been?
Martha peeps through the blind.
Is some strange gentleman. Come in.
And Mephistopheles enters. Okay, so that's what it's Mephistopheles, Martha, and Margaret was the previous image.
That I so boldly introduce me, I beg you, ladies, to excuse me.
He steps back reverently on seeing Margaret.
For Martha Schwertlein, I'd inquire. I'm she. What does the gentleman desire?
And Mephistopheles turns aside just to her.
It is enough that you are she. You've a visitor of high degree. Pardon the freedom I have taken. Will afternoon return again?
And Martha aloud.
Of all things in the world, just here. He takes thee for a lady, dear. I'm a creature young and poor. The gentleman's too kind, I'm sure. The jewels don't belong to me. Ah, not alone the jewelry. The look, the manner, both betray. Rejoiced am I that I may stay. What is your business? I would fain. I had more cheerful strain. Take not unkindly its repeating. Your husband's dead, and sends a greeting. Is dead? Alas, that heart's so true. My husband dead, let me die too. Ah, dearest dame, let not your courage fail. Hear me relate the mournful tale. Therefore I'd never love, believe me. A loss like this to death would grieve me. Joy follows woe, woe after joy comes flying. Relate his life's sad close to me. In Padua buried he is lying, beside the good Saint Anthony, within a grave well consecrated, for cool eternal rest created. He gave you, further, no commission? Yes, one of weight, with many sighs, 300 masses by, to save him from perdition. My hands are empty, otherwise. What? Not a pocket piece, no jewelry, what every journeyman within his wallet spares, as a token with him bears, and rather starves or begs than loses. Madame, it is a grief to me, yet on my word his cash was put to proper uses. Besides, his penitence was very sore, and he lamented ill his fortune all the more. Alack, that men are so unfortunate! Surely for his soul's sake many a prayer I'll prefer. You well deserve a speedy marriage offer. You are so kind, compassionate. Oh, no, as yet it would not do. If not a husband, then a beau for you. It is the greatest heavenly blessing to have a dear thing for one's caressing. The country's custom is not so. Custom or not, it happens though. Continue, pray. I stood beside his bed of dying. 'Twas something better than manure, half-rotten straw, and yet he died a Christian sure, and found that heavier scores to his account were lying. He cried, I find my conduct wholly hateful, to leave my wife my trade in manner so ungrateful. Ah, the remembrance makes me die. Would of my wrong to her I might be shriven. Martha's weeping. The God, good man, long since was he forgiven. Yet she, God knows, was more to blame than I. He lied. What? On the brink of death he slandered. In the last throes his senses wandered, if such things but half can judge. He said, I had no time for play, for gaping freedom. First children, and then work for bread to feed 'em. For bread, in the widest sense, to drudge, and could not even eat my share in peace and quiet. Had he all love, all faith forgotten in his riot, my work and worry day and night? Not so, the memory of it touched him quite. Said he, when I from Malta went away, my prayers for wife and little ones were zealous, and such a luck from heaven befell us. He made a Turkish merchantman our prey, that to the Soldan bore a mighty treasure. Then I received as was most fit, since bravery was paid in fullest measure, my well-apportioned share of it. Say, how? Say where? If buried, did he own it? He knows now whither the four winds, who knows now whither the four winds have blown it. A fair young damsel took him in her care, as he in Naples wandered round, unfriended, and she much love did faith to him did bear, so that he felt it till his days were ended. The villain, from his children thieving, even all the misery on him cast, could not prevent his shameful way of living. But see, he's dead therefrom at last. Were I in your place, do not doubt me, I'd mourn him decently a year, and for another keep, meanwhile, my eyes about me. Ah, gone! Another one so dear, as was my first, this world will hardly give me. There never was a sweeter fool than mine, only he loved to roam and leave me. And foreign wenches and foreign wine, and the damned throw of dice indeed. Well, well. That might have done, however, if he had only been as clever, and treated your slips with as little heed. I swear with this condition too, I would myself change rings with you. The gentleman is pleased to jest. I'll get away betimes from here. She'd take the devil at his word, I fear. And then to Margaret he says, How fares the heart within your breast? What means the gentleman? Mephistopheles now aside. Sweet innocent thou art. And then aloud. Ladies, farewell. Farewell? A moment, ere we part. I'd like to have a legal witness. Where, how, and when he died, to certify his fitness. Irregular ways I've always hated. I want his death in the weekly paper stated. Yes, my good dame, a pair of witnesses, always the truth establishes. I have a friend of high condition, who'll add his deposition. I'll bring him here. Good sir, pray do, and this young lady will be present too. A gallant youth has travelled far, ladies with him delighted are. Before him I should blush ashamed, before no king that could be named. Behind the house, in my garden then, this eve we'll expect the gentleman. Here we have another set of pictures. These, at least, are 2 in 1 screen, so a little less struggle here.
Let's make this a little bit easier to see. So, it's hard to kind of suss out what these are meant to be. And I kind of think that part of them might be for the next scene rather than the coming scene, or than the previous. But we've got a little bit going on here. Let's just fit it back in. But so Mephistopheles is up to his no good ways. He's trying to manipulate Margaret, the young thing, into being available, gradually working temptation upon her, with first the first set of jewels that her mother donated to the church, because if she found it and they're obviously not hers, they must be dirty. So give that as an offering. Maybe a little bit of what was the term? I'm not even, it's gonna bother me now. Basically a bribe to the church. What was that? Shoot. There is a word for it. Indulgence, yes, thank you very much. It's one of those things. I'm not Catholic enough to remember this in my history books, but I do remember it coming up, but the word itself escapes me. But then Mephistopheles gives another crate of jewels, and this time Margaret thinks to keep it with her neighbor, so that it stays out of dear mother's sight. And in the meanwhile, he brings word of the neighbor's death, presumably, and he left her and her family with nothing. So, now Martha, the neighbor, is going to be keeping watch over the chest of jewels that Margaret has come by, and is presumably left a widow with no inheritance to keep her. So we'll see how well all of these temptations lie. He's laying schemes within schemes here, trying to get everyone to fall. And the gentleman that he's going to be introducing to act as witness to the poor passing of Martha's husband, I'd lay down dimes to dollars that it's going to be Faust. Gotta make those introductions. All right. So, just checking our pace, because this is definitely going to be a 3-day read, I think. We're at about 60% through. We got about half an hour. So I'd like to see us get to about... We can get to about 70% tonight. I think that'll be a comfortable place. We've taken a pretty slow read so far. So, I think we're at a good pace. We may have some time to stop and yammer on a little bit tonight if I hit my target mark. But we'll see where we'll end up. All right. The 11th scene. In the street. Faust and Mephistopheles. How is it? Underway and soon complete?
Ah, bravo! Do I find you burning? Well, Margaret soon will still your yearning. At neighbour Martha's you'll this evening meet a fitter woman ne'er was made to ply the pimp and gypsy trade.
'Tis well.
Yet something is required from us.
One service pays the other thus.
We've but to make a deposition valid, that now her husband's limbs outstretched and pallid at Padua rest, in consecrated soil.
Most wise, and first, of course, we'll make the journey thither.
sancta simplicitas, no need of such a toil. Depose with knowledge or without it either.
If you've not better, then I'll tear your pretty plan.
And now there you are, O holy man. Is it the first time in your life you're driven to bear false witness in a case? Of God, the world, and all that in it has a place, of man, and all that moves the being of his race. Have you not terms and definitions given, with brazen forehead, daring breast, and if you'll probe the thing profoundly, know you so much, and you'll confess it roundly, as here, a Schwertlane's death and place of rest.
Thou art, and thou remainest, a sophist, liar.
Well, knew I not more deeply thy desire, for wilt thou not no lover fairer, poor Margaret flatter and ensnare her, and all thy soul's devotion swear her?
And from my heart,
'tis very fine, thine endless love, thy faith assuring, the one almighty force enduring. Will that too prompt this heart of thine?
Hold, it will. If such my flame, for the sense and power intense, I seek and cannot find a name, then range with all my senses through creation, craving the speech of inspiration, and call this ardour so supernal, endless, eternal, is that a devilish lying game?
And yet I'm right.
Mark this, I beg of thee, and spare my lungs henceforth. Whoever intends to have the right, if but his tongue be clever, will have it certainly. But come, and the further talking brings disgust, for thou art right, especially since I must. Oh, it's another split set of images. Here we go. This looks like Martha grieving over her falsely fallen husband. And then after, we have another one. This one looks like Margaret as she's waiting the evening when Mephistopheles is going to bring the witness to swear that Margaret's husband is dead. So eagerly waiting. All right. We have now chapter 12, or scene 12. Chapter, scene, they're all the same damn thing, right? In the garden. Margaret on Faust's arm. Martha and Mephistopheles walking up and down. So they've been doing a little flirting there, I assume.
I feel the gentleman allows for me, demeans himself and shames me by it. A traveller is so used to be kindly content with any diet. I know too well that my poor gossip can ne'er entertain such an experienced man.
A look from thee, a word more entertains than all the lore of wisest brains.
Here Faust kisses her hand. Don't incommode yourself. How could you ever kiss it? It's so ugly, rough to see. What work I do, how hard and steady it is. Mother is too close with me.
And the two of them pass in front. Now Martha to Mephistopheles.
And you, sir, travel always, do you not? Alas, that trade and duty are so hairy. With what a pang one leaves so many a spot, and dares not even now and then to tarry. In young wild years it suits your ways, this round and round the world in freedom sweeping. But then come on the evil days, and so as bachelor into his grave a-creeping, never ever found a thing to praise. I dread to see how such a fate advances. Then, worthy sir, improve betimes your chances. And the two of them pass. Yes, out of sight is out of mind, your courtesy and easy grace is. But you have friends in other places, and sensibler than I you'll find.
Trust me, dear heart, what men call sensible is oft mere vanity and narrowness.
How so?
Ah, that simplicity and innocence ne'er know. Themselves, their holy value and their spell, that meekness, lowliness, and the highest graces, which nature portions out so lovingly.
So you but think a moment's space on me. All times I'll have to think on you, all places.
No doubt you're much alone.
Yes, for our household small has grown, yet must be cared for, you will own. We have no maid. I do the knitting, sewing, sweeping, the cooking, early work and late, in fact. And mother, in her notions of housekeeping, is so exact. Not that she needs so much to keep expenses down. We, more than others, might take comfort rather. A nice estate was left us by my father, a house, a little garden near the town. But now my days have less of noise and hurry. My brother is a soldier, my little sister's dead. True, with the childish, troubled life I led. Yet I would take again, and willing all the worry. So very dear was she.
An angel, if like thee.
I brought it up, and it was fond of me. Father had died before it saw the light, and mother's case seemed hopeless quite. So weak and miserable she lay, and she recovered then, so slowly day by day. She could not think herself of giving the poor wee thing its natural living. And so I nursed it all alone, with milk and water, 'twas my own. Lulled in my lap with many a song, it smiled and tumbled and grew strong.
The purest bliss was surely then thy dower.
But surely also many a weary hour. I kept the baby's cradle near my bed at night. If 't even stirred, I'd guess it. And waking here, and I must nurse it, warm beside me press it, and oft to quiet it my bed forsake, and dandling back and forth the restless creature take. Then at the wash-tub stand at morning's break, and then the marketing and kitchen tending, day after day the same thing never ending. One's spirits, sir, are thus not always good, but then one learns to relish rest and food.
And the two of them pass now, and Martha and Mephistopheles come back.
Yes, the poor women are bad off, 'tis true. A stubborn bachelor, there's no converting. It but depends upon the like of you, and I should turn to better ways than flirting. Speak plainly, sir. Have you no one detected? Has not your heart been anywhere subjected? The proverb says one's own warm hearth, and a good wife are gold and jewels worth. I mean, have you not felt desire, though ne'er so slightly? I've everywhere, in fact, been entertained politely. I meant to say, were you not touched in earnest, ever? One should allow oneself to jest with ladies, never.
Ah, you don't understand.
I am sorry, I am so blind, but I am sure that you are very kind.
And they pass. And me, thou angel, didst thou recognize, as through the garden gate I came?
Did you not see it? I cast down my eyes.
And thou forgivest my freedom, and the blame to my impertinence befitting, as the cathedral thou wert quitting.
I was confused. The like ne'er happened me. No one could ever speak to my discredit, as though I in my conduct has he read it. Something immodest or unseemly free. He seemed to have the sudden feeling that with this wench 'twere very easy dealing. I will confess I knew not what appeal on your behalf here in my bosom grew, but I was angry with myself to feel that I should not be angrier with you.
The sweet darling!
Wait a while.
Margaret plucks a starflower and pulls off the leaves one after the other. Shall that a nosegay be?
No, it is just in play.
How?
Don't, you'll laugh at me.
She pulls off the leaves and murmurs to herself. What murmurest thou? Margaret sort of mumbles half to herself.
He loves me. He loves me not.
Thou sweet angelic soul! She continues.
Loves me not. Loves me not.
And as she plucks the last leaf, she cries out in delight, He loves me! Yes, child, and let this blossom word for thee be speech divine. He loves thee. Knowest thou what it means? He loves thee. Faust holds both of her hands.
I'm all a tremble.
Oh, tremble not, but let this look, let this warm clasp of hands declare thee what is unspeakable. To yield one wholly, and to feel a rapture in yielding that must be eternal. Eternal! For the end would be despair. No, no, no ending, no ending! Martha steps forward.
The night is falling. Aye, we must away.
I'd ask you longer here to tarry, but evil tongues in this town have full play. It's as if nobody had nothing to fetch and carry, nor other labour, but spying all the doings of one's neighbour, and one becomes to talk, do whatsoe'er one may. Where's our couple now?
Flown up the alley yonder, the wilful summer birds.
He seems of her still fonder.
And she of him, she runs the world away.
A couple pictures here. For once, on the same page. So here we have, it's a little spicy too. We won't keep this one up too terribly long. The jewelry box that was laid out, random angel there. I'm not sure what that's about. But then we also have down below Faust and Margaret as they're flirting with each other in the garden. And you see in the bottom right sort of an image of Mephistopheles there, as he's making sure that everything goes right. So that was a bit of a scene there with Mephistopheles trying to parry the advances of Martha, the presumed widow, because she's coming on pretty hard to him, and he is having none of it. Meanwhile, while he's keeping her busy, Margaret and Faust are certainly hitting things off. And it seems she is going to be relatively easy to trip up. So we'll see how well this plays out, how much joy they can find together, or whether Mephistopheles will find a way to poison their budding affections. And so we continue on with chapter 13. In a garden arbor, Margaret comes in, conceals herself behind the door, puts her finger to her lips, and peeps through the crack. He comes, and Faust comes in behind her. Ah, rogue, a tease thou art! I have thee! He kisses her. Margaret clasps him and returns the kiss.
Dearest man, I love thee from my heart.
And Mephistopheles knocks at the door. Faust stamps his foot. Who's there?
A friend?
A beast!
'Tis time to separate.
And Martha comes in next.
Yes, sir, 'tis late.
May I not, then, upon you wait?
My mother would. Farewell.
Can I not remain? Farewell.
Adieu, and soon to meet again.
And then Faust and Mephistopheles exit. And Margaret, to herself, wonders,
Dear God, however is it such a man can think and know so much? I stand ashamed and in amaze, and answer yes to all he says. Poor, unknowing child, and he... I can't think what he finds in me.
A very short scene there, and one more picture. I'm enjoying that it's got so many, and I'm happy that we are getting in the rhythm of showing these pictures as they come up, but the process is less fun. Alright, I think... Alright, we might run a little over, but I think if we get through this next chapter, we'll be at a good place. It's a little on the longer side compared to some of the others, but these are all relatively short chapters anyway, being play scenes, so we should probably be alright without going too terribly over. So, scene 14. In the forest, in the cavern, and Faust alone. Spirit sublime, thou gavest me all for which I prayed, not unto me in vain. Hast thou thy countenance revealed in fire? Thou gavest me nature as a kingdom grand, with power to feel and to enjoy it. Thou need not only cold, amazed acquaintance yieldest, but grantest that in her profoundest breast I gaze, as in the bosom of a friend. The ranks of living creatures thou dost lead before me, teaching me to know my brothers in air and water and the silent wood. And when the storm in forest roars and grinds, the giant firs in failing, neighbor boughs and neighbor trunks with crushing weight bear down, and falling, fill the hills with hollow thunders. Then to the cave secure thou leadest me, then showest me mine own self, and in my breast the deep, mysterious miracles unfold. And when the perfect moon before my gaze comes up with soothing light, around me float from every precipice and thicket damp the silvery phantoms of the ages past, and temper the austere delight of thought. That nothing can be perfect unto man, I now am conscious with this ecstasy, which brings me near and nearer to the gods. Thou gavest the comrade, whom I now no more can do without. Though cold and scornful he demeans me to myself, and with a breath, a word transforms thy gifts to nothingness. Within my breast he fans a lawless fire, unwearied for that fair and lovely form. Thus in desire I hasten to enjoyment, and in enjoyment pine to feel desire. And Mephistopheles enters. Have you not led this life quite long enough? How can a further test delight you? 'Tis very well that once one tries the stuff, but something new must then requite you. Would there other work for thee? To plague my day auspicious, thou returnest. Well, I'll engage to let thee be. Thou darest not tell me so in earnest. The loss of thee were truly very slight. Comrade crazy, rude, repealing. One has hands full all day, all the day and night. If what one does or leaves undone is right, from such a face as thine there is no telling. Another picture here in the middle of a chapter this time. So they're in the cave here talking to each other. There is again thy proper tone, that thou hast bored me, I must thankful be. Poor son of earth, how canst thou thus alone have led thy life bereft of me? I, for a time at least, have worked thy cure. Thy
Fancy's rickets plague thee not at all. Had I not been, so hadst thou, sure, walked thyself off this earthly ball. Why, here to caverns, rocky hollows slinking, sitst thou, as 'twere an owl a-blinking. Why suckest from sodden moss and dripping stone, toad-like thy nourishment alone? A fine way this, thy time to fill. The doctor's in thy body still.
What fresh and vital forces canst thou guess? Spring from my commerce with thy wilderness. But if thou hadst the power of guessing, thou wouldst be devil enough to grudge my soul the blessing.
A blessing drawn from supernatural fountains, in night and dew, to lie upon the mountains. All heaven and earth in rapture penetrating, thyself to godhood haughtily inflating, to grub with yearning force through earth's dark marrow, compress the 6 days' work within thy bosom narrow. To taste, I know not what, in haughty power, thine own ecstatic life on all things shower. Thine earthly self behind thee cast, and then the lofty instinct thus. And he gestures, at last, I daren't say how, to pluck the final flower.
Shame on thee!
Yes, thou findest that unpleasant. Thou hast the mortal right to cry me shame at present. One dares not that before chaste ears declare, which chaste hearts notwithstanding cannot spare. And once for all I grudge thee not the pleasure of lying to thyself in moderate measure. But such a course thou wilt not long endure. Already art thou o'er-excited. And if it last, wilt soon be plighted to madness and to sorrow, to horror sure. Enough of that. Thy love sits lonely yonder, by all things saddened and oppressed. Her thoughts and yearnings seek thee tenderer, fonder. Mighty love is in her breast. First came thy passion's flood, and poured around her, as when from melted snow a streamlet overflows. Thou hast therewith so filled and drowned her, that now thy stream all shallow flows shows. Methinks, instead of in the forest lording, the noble sir should find it good, the love of this young silly blood. At once to set about rewarding, her time is miserably long. She haunts her window, watching clouds that stray o'er the old city wall and far away. Were I a little bird, so runs her song, day long and half night long. Now she is lively, mostly sad. Now wept beyond her tears, then again quiet she appears, always love-mad.
Serpent! Serpent!
Mephistopheles here aside. Ha! Do I trap thee?
Get thee away with thine offences, reprobate! Name not that fairest thing, nor the desire for her sweet body bring again before my half-distracted senses.
What wouldst thou then? She thinks that thou art flown, and half thou art, I own.
Yet am I near, and love keeps watch and ward, though I were ne'er so far, it cannot falter. I envy even the body of the Lord, the touching of her lips before the altar.
'Tis very well, my envy oft reposes on your twin pair that feed among the roses.
Away, thou pimp!
You rail, and it is fun to me. The God who fashioned youth and maid perceived the noblest purpose of his trade, and also made their opportunity. Go on, it is a woe profound. 'Tis for your sweetheart's room you're bound, and not for death indeed.
What are within her arms the heavenly blisses, though I be glowing with her kisses? Do I not always share her need? I am the fugitive, all houseless, roaming, the monster without air or rest, that like a cat down rocks and gorges foaming, leaps maddened into the abyss's breast. And sidewards she, with youth unwakened senses, within her cabin on the alpine field, her simple homely life commences. Her little world therein concealed, and I, God's hate flung o'er me, had not enough to thrust the stubborn rocks before me, and strike them into dust. She in her peace I yet must undermine. Thou, hell, hast claimed this sacrifice as mine. Help, devil, through the coming pangs to push me. What must be, let it quickly be. Let fall on me her fate, and also crush me. One ruin round both her and me.
Again it seethes, again it glows. Thou fool, go in and comfort her. When such a head as thine no outlet knows, it thinks the end must soon occur. Hail him who keeps a steadfast mind. Thou else dost well the devil nature wear. Naught so insipid in the world I find, as is a devil in despair.
All right, we have 2 quick pictures, and that is the end of this scene, and that'll be where we end for the night. So first we have a little bit of Mephistopheles doing what he does best, and just being a little ominous here. And immediately after we have you'll see in just a moment. We have Margaret sitting and pining for her missing love. So, Faust fell really quick for Margaret. It seems like he's the sort that has lived a life all his own and not really had a whole lot of interaction with women, because as soon as he had the first opportunity, man, he went head over heels, quick as a lick. And as is always the way, this is probably what's going to be the end of him, one way or the other. It's just not gonna. Yeah, exactly. You know, you see some that the first attention they get from a woman is they fall in with their whole being because they've never had the opportunity before, and it's kind of sad, honestly. They lose themselves entirely. It's even worse if they are spurned, because then we think parasocial behavior is bad. No. This is so much worse. So much worse. But yeah, so this is all coming together very nicely. Mephistopheles, I think it's been westernized to Mephisto, but it's Mephistopheles, is working his wiles, twisting things and weaving a skein of temptation, and his game is afoot, getting ready to try and do his best to convince Faust that he's as happy as he's ever been. He's found a love, and she seems to love him back. Maybe that's enough. Maybe this is his perfect day. And no. Faust is like, no. I'll have none of it. Not ready yet. I still have things that need done. So we're going to continue this tomorrow. Probably finish this tomorrow because we have about 30% left. So that's at a good pace. So we should be able to finish this at tomorrow's reading, and hopefully have a little bit of time to spare so we can kind of have some reflections, because this is an interesting piece. There are references and things that are going through and playing out that are ominous in their own way, and you can sort of, because we know that this is a tragedy, as we see Faust falling for Margaret, we sort of are waiting for the shoe to drop, something to go terribly, horribly wrong, whether it to be Margaret to waste away and leave Faust alone for God knows how long, or for it to be Faust to give up and say that, yes, this was the perfect day, and for Mephistopheles to claim him. There's no breaks on this. The tension just keeps building and building and building. And in the form of classic tragedies, there aren't a whole lot of ups and downs. It just builds and builds and builds and builds, and then in the last chapter, the last scene, the last few moments, it will come crashing down. So it's fun to sit back. So our first reading was setting the stage, sort of laying things out, and we saw the eventual doom that was destined. And today, it's a slower day, but we can see it slowly starting to build up. After piece of Mephistopheles' plan is coming together. And we'll see probably, I'd say about halfway through tomorrow's reading, when we really reach a peak and things start to fall to pieces. All right, that's something to look forward for tomorrow. So let me set a bookmark here. So, before we go, I did want to mention, we started all this. We started our very first reading on January 31st of last year. That was the day of our first stream as we were reading The Sun Also Rises. So, I would like to do something special as we come up on the end of the month. And I do note that we've got a normal reading day on the 31st this month. That'll be a Saturday. We've got a little ways to look forward to, but I'm thinking we'll do another sort of marathon reading that is unarchived. Because why not? I'm not sure how long we'll go, and we may make a weekend of it, just depending on how long we want to go through. I've got some other things in the works. Want to try and make this a special event, such as it is. And now that I have the opportunity to double stream, since I don't have to worry about, since I no longer have to worry about bandwidth and data limits, I think I will probably start doing a double stream between YouTube and Twitch. That way, when it comes time for unarchived streams, we may just stick to just Twitch, or we'll do both and I'll just not record or leave the VOD down for the YouTube stream. But I think it'll be to the net good, because the nice thing about YouTube is, since it is, the nice thing about Twitch, A, the audience is there, B, they're all unarchived. I don't really need to care about what I read. We can do things that are more modern. So if we have want to dip our toes into fantasy or sci-fi and things like that, a little outside of just the classics, we are certainly able. That we don't really have that sort of freedom on YouTube without doing regular unarchived streams. So I think once we get that up off the ground, we might shift our schedule a little bit, maybe have like one day of a week be specifically for unarchived, so we can read something more modern, and that will be primarily on Twitch. But we do want to maintain and keep YouTube as our primary, because I like having all our VODs. It's just a better platform for me. But that's not to say that since we have the capability, we shouldn't ignore the other. So that's gonna take some work to get ready. I want to have something else ready in the meantime. So we'll just keep on keeping on, and we'll see where we lay out. It all so much depends on certain deadlines and things breaking through and things coming across. But we'll hopefully have some nice new things happening towards the end of the month. And regardless of what's ready and what's not, on the 31st, we're going to be doing a hefty read. Maybe not a full marathon, but it is a Saturday. So we could do a full marathon, honestly. But anyway, I'm thinking it might be fun. What do you think if we took on Tolkien? That could be a fun unarchived stream. Maybe start off with like Fellowship of the Ring, and we'll start doing that for some of our special reads. That could be a lot of fun. See if my Elvish is as bad as my French. Alright, so tentatively, that will be our plan. I'm thinking we can start off with the Fellowship of the Ring, on the 31st, and we'll see how far along we get into it. And if we don't finish, which I don't terribly expect to finish in one day, it's a little bit heftier than Andromeda Strain was. Although, honestly, it's not that much longer, all things told. I reread Fellowship not too terribly long ago, and it was not nearly as long to finish as I remembered it was. But anyway, we'll read that for a number of hours, and then we'll, if we, at that point, have Twitch up and running, we may start setting that into a schedule and save it for, or we won't need to save it for specials and just have that be part of a routine. We'll see. You're right, it feels longer when you're young. I remember reading Return of the King when I was in grade school, and I swear it took like a semester to read it. But now, that's like a weekend read, tops. Alright, so that's the news and the perspective that we've given. We're coming up on our first full year. And it just so happens, or just is very nice, that things worked out such that my birthday was about halfway through, or just right at the 6-month mark. So we've got something about every half a year to celebrate around here. And I could not think of a better way for that to just shape out, just by happy accident. I'm here for it. Alright, guys, we will call that an evening here. Tomorrow, we'll be back at our normal time, because I no longer have to worry about data limits. We can go back to our normal schedule. No more interruptions. And we'll be back tomorrow night at 8 Eastern to continue and conclude our reading of Goethe's Faust. Until then, have a wonderful evening, and good night.